Perhaps you've come across the situation where your child is involved in an extracurricular activity, perhaps something that's off campus but school related, and your child needs special education support in that setting. And so you go to your school team, and what you might hear is something along the lines of, we're only responsible for special education when it's in this building. And so that might be something along the lines that you hear something like that. So what should you say, Jen, when something like that is said?
Okay, so before we give you some tips on what you could say, let me explain why that's not actually an accurate reflection of the law. The IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, very clearly includes, as part of special education and related services, extracurricular activities. It includes and envisions issues that occur off of school grounds, at school-sponsored events, et cetera. In fact, the discipline provisions of the statute talk about events off of school grounds and school-sponsored events. So, you know, it's always interesting to me that a student could get penalized for something that they do at a school-sponsored event, but when a parent wants support at a school-sponsored event, suddenly it's not our responsibility. So it's actually not the case. It still is the school district's responsibility. And this all goes back to, we want students to participate in the full fabric of the community, and they're entitled to participate and benefit from the full fabric of the educational community, which of course includes things like school events, right?
Right.
So that's why it's not the law.
Right.
The response to it, there's many practical responses that one could have. One could be to be prepared and say, I thought that the IDEA required special support at extracurricular events. You could be as candid as that, you know, and have with you the actual language. But that may be perceived as somewhat aggressive. Do you have a less aggressive approach?
I never advocate that you try to be aggressive with your school district. I'm very much in favor for being amenable and trying to get along with everyone, because at the end of the day, these are the people who are educating your child, and we all need to get along. We may disagree from time to time, but one of the things that I think you can say is, it's my understanding that special education is not a place.
That's right.
Okay. Special education is a set of services.
Right.
Okay. And so special education shouldn't stop when you leave the schoolhouse door, if in fact it is a school-sponsored activity. Okay,
right.
So you can say something like that, and but I think that's a really important thing for you to know. Special education is not a place.
It's not a place.
It's a set of services.
And you know, a good tip could also be, look at the IEP document that you've had with your school district, perhaps the last meeting, and in all likelihood, and every state has slightly different forms, but in all likelihood, there's somewhere on that state form, on one of those pages, that talks about whether or not the child requires extended school day services, whether or not the child requires special kinds of support in various different environments. And if you can find where that box is supposed to be checked off, it would be very helpful for when that comes up. You can say, well, then why is it asking in this page 6
or whatever
kind of
page
support,
it is in
whatever
your
page
state.
it is, for what kind of support is required for extracurricular activities if this isn't a special education issue? I mean, that would be a, you know, what I sometimes call the Columbo routine. I don't know, I'm just kind of trying to figure this out. Less aggressive, and you know, I obviously do get aggressive with school districts when it's necessary. I'm like you.
How about assertive?
Assertive. Try as hard as I can be to resolve it amicably. It's in everyone's best interest. But that is a less aggressive way to respond, but also with hopefully the tools necessary to get to what you need.
Excellent.